Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Stefan.
I'm running out of things to say that aren't my name.
Well, what is your name?
Stefan?
No, it's Michael.
I'm Michael.
Animating in threes!
Please!
We are an animation podcast where three people talk about an animated film or series from an animator's perspective. And this week we are going to complete my trilogy of Star Wars The Clone Wars arcs that I think are pretty good.
Do you mean the trilogy of films you saw in your childhood?
No, stop!
And this week we're going to be talking about one of the best Clone Wars arcs ever, Ahsoka the Fugitive.
Also known as
The Fugitive, but with Star Wars.
This would have been much better if it was Han Solo on the run.
But Han Solo...
We got that! Called Solo, a Star Wars story.
No, the joke is it was also called The Fugitive.
Oh,
Because
sorry,
Harrison
I haven't
Ford
seen
was
the
the
Fugitive.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
I
The
see.
Fugitive, so...
That's even better.
There is a shot in this which is just lifted from it.
Yes,
like the
it
most
is,
iconic
yes.
scene from it.
It's the one where she jumps off, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
We'll talk in a minute.
we are going to get to that, but before we talk about Ahsoka the Fugitive, we are going to be talking about tunes we've tuned into. And if you want to skip anything, whether it's the tunes we've tuned into,
Like to the end, for example.
you can look in the description below and at the time codes. So there's that. Okay, so Michael, we're going to start with you.
What have you been watching animated-wise?
I watched Klaus.
We were meant to watch that, Michael.
Then nothing.
Oh, lovely.
Well, at least you watched the bare minimum for this podcast.
Yeah, I even watched today's episodes.
Hooray! Stefan, what have you been watching?
Okay, let me think about this because there is something I've been
No,
watching.
you meant to prepare.
No, well, I need to think.
This podcast isn't about thinking.
What have I
We just
watched?
say random shit and then you animate it.
Yeah, and that's what gets views. And even then, not very many.
A UK band I like called The Struts wrote the theme song to the CG...
Is that our art teacher's old band?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is like a successful band.
Yeah, Struts. So they wrote... It's odd. They wrote the theme song to an anime, but the anime itself was a CG adaptation of an old series called Saint Seiya. And this series... I decided to watch it only because The Struts wrote the theme song, and it sounds badass as anything.
But it's very British.
It's so British.
He sounds
I love
very
his
British.
voice. He sounds like a new Freddie Mercury, I think. But
Freddie
any-
Mercury didn't sound British when he
Yes, he
sang.
did.
When he's saying he didn't.
Yes, he did.
I reckon he did.
I think he did.
So I watched the adaptation. The CG in it, this is completely unpopular opinion, but I really like the CG. It looked like action figures moving, but it had a really nice cartoon energy to it, and I thought it was quite enjoyable to watch. It wasn't obviously... It's not like most anime where you can get emotionally invested, because it is an adaptation. It has got American influence in it, and you can tell it's a bit Americanized. But I thought it was alright. This series was apparently panned. Like, everyone hates its guts. Like, I've never seen someone... like every review on IMDb is 1 star, saying it's the worst thing ever, and that it's a dismal to the Saint Seiya...
What's it called again?
Knights of the Zodiac Saint Seiya. But it's the 3D version.
Is it about the Zodiac Killer?
No. Okay. I'll show you the opening later. But I thought it was alright, and yet people saying, oh, they changed this, they changed this. One change they did do, I don't agree with because it's stupid. They changed one of the characters' genders from male to female because they did. I don't know why, but they did. But I thought the show was alright. It only went for 6 episodes, and I thought, come on, you could support it a bit more. And everyone's just mocking the 3D. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. I thought how they interpreted things and how the visuals had some subtle animations were really good.
Was the 3D as good as the Clone Wars?
In some cases, yes, the animation was really good in this. But everyone just says it's terrible.
Oh.
So it's terrible. Even though it's not.
Is that as Resistance?
It's better than Resistance.
In that case, they have no reason to complain.
No, it's because it's an adaptation, but the adaptation isn't exactly a good adaptation. Like,
Well,
I'm not a major Saint Seiya fan, but I can tell that there was things that people would not
So it's
agree
like
with
how
at
people
all.
react to the Milan trailer, where, oh no, they changed things.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to do a carbon copy of the animated film. Boo!
Exactly. it's that sort of thing. But, oh well, I thought it was really well animated. And I thought, I got to say that I enjoyed watching it.
Well, that's good.
So you can cut most of my spiel I just said. Knights of Zodiac, I thought it was interesting. I think it's still worth a watch despite all of its criticisms. And it's got good animation. That's it. What have you been watching, Ben?
Okay, so Disney Plus, sponsor us. So, I started watching a show that I've been a bit curious about. So, up in the lead up for Amphibia, a lot of people were also talking about how great a show called Big City Greens, which is another modern Disney show, which is on, like, currently just starting to do its second season, I think. And it is pretty fun.
You like it?
It's not the worst.
Okay.
I didn't expect to like it, but it's not as great as Gravity Falls. And it's a bit more mature than Amphibia, maybe, or on the same level.
I didn't like its art style. I
actually quite like it.
Did you like it?
Not at first, but I did grow into it, and now I kind of like it. So, basically, the plot of the series, it's a very family-friendly kid show, but it still has enough funny and sometimes dark jokes. So, it's about these farmers who have to move to the big city because their farm failed and stuff, and they have to get used to living in the big city compared to living in a farm. And obviously there's a lot of gags about how, like,
so
they're
it's
not
the
used
Hollywood Hillbillies. What was that called? Beverly Hillbillies?
Hollywood Hillbillies.
Sure, it's that.
Okay, sure.
But
Green
you know what?
Acres. Zsa Zsa Gabor.
It's pretty fun, I would say. It's something I can just watch and turn my mind off for a bit, and it's pretty fun.
I mean,
There's
I could do that for any show,
I know.
regardless of its content.
But, like, there's no...
Or even if the TV's on.
or anything, to be honest.
So far, there's no underlying mystery or anything. It's just a fun show about these kids who are a bit rowdy and have fun. And don't know what the city is.
That's okay. But you're enjoying it is the main thing. Why
Yes,
are
I
they
am.
green-skinned again?
They're yellow skins, first of all.
Yeah, why are they yellow-skinned again?
Everyone in the show has, like, weirdly coloured skin.
Is that because it's Simpsons?
No, so there's...
Oh, is that like Doug?
Yeah, so some
Pretty
people
sure
have purple
Doug.
skin, some people
Don't
have
mention Doug on this podcast.
blue skin, some people have... Very rarely does someone have, like, a natural skin colour within the real world. Most of it is just, like, outlandish
I
colours.
thought you got to launch to like a racist tirade.
I was...
Why can't they have normal skin colours? Like white! And just that!
So I'm going to talk a bit about Dave Filoni, the showrunner of the Clone Wars as well as Star Wars Rebels, and also an executive producer of Star Wars Resistance, and also is the CEO of the animation part of Lucasfilm, which is pretty fun. Anyway, so Dave Filoni.
That was kind of funny, actually. You had this whole speech about Dave Filoni. Anyhow, George Lucas. Oh, damn it!
So Dave Filoni grew up in America. The films of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg had always influenced him and had been part of his life.
Really?
Yes.
Never would have guessed.
He
Not
didn't.
even- especially not that George Lucas part.
Yeah.
He didn't even consider himself a fan because it was just that much a part of his life.
No, he should probably consider himself a fan then. That's a wrong.
Well, what's he going to consider himself?
See,
part
what he's
of the
done
Star
there
Wars
is
lore?
he's not understood.
So, when he was deciding what job he wanted to go into, he decided to go into the animation because he realized that the art world was very unstable. In fact, he once met a great artist who he found out just pumped gas in between paid painting gigs because it was that unstable. It's like, oh yeah, I paint these really great paintings, but you know what I actually do? I just fill gas in people's cars.
And Dave Filoni.
Oh, I thought you meant like pump like a noxious gas into people's homes.
No!
Pump it full of toxins, then I rob them. Do they survive? I don't know.
Anyway, so his first big job was as a layout artist of King on the Hill. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
That is a big stretch from what he does now.
King of the Hill is one of the only animated shows I could think of when I'm watching it, just thinking, why was this animated? It does not need to be.
But
It
no,
would have been cheaper.
But the thing is, he actually did elaborate because I've watched quite a few interviews with Dave Filoni and stuff doing this research.
Mike Judge
I
did
actually
King of the
did
Hill, didn't he?
research. Pardon?
Mike Judge did King of the Hill, didn't
I
he?
don't know. I haven't watched it. Anyway, but a lot of people have said stuff like that. Like, why wasn't it live action? But a lot of the people who worked in it were really good at that craft, and that's something that Dave Filoni really appreciated about it.
I mean, it's unique.
Yes.
As in, like...
Just because it could have been done live action doesn't mean it's not good.
Yeah, because I presume if King of the Hill was live action, it probably wouldn't have had half the impact it did, because it's just so weird that it is animated to begin with.
So he moved his way from King of the Hill into Avatar: The Last Airbender. So
Oh, I got something to say, just quickly.
yes.
I've always wanted to mention this, but King of the Hill belongs to one of those... It's a very specific subgenre of specifically comedies that I've noticed where the title of the comedy is like an old adage or like an old quote or saying, where the main character's last name is one of the words in the old adage. Do you notice that?
Okay, that's actually...
It's
Yeah,
very
I get it.
specific. There's like Toast of London, where the main character's last name is Toast. There's King of the Hill, when his name is Hank Hill. There's probably many others.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
But yeah,
though,
it's a very specific trend I've noticed in a couple of comedies. So it's old adage, main character's last name is one of the words in it.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to find more examples. I'm going to list them next week.
Dave Filoni, The Last Airbender. His friends who created the show invited him to direct episodes of the show, and he was absolutely gobsmacked that they were allowed to make something so anime-inspired and something really different, unique, and amazing. Because this show is really heavily influenced by the Eastern tropes and media and all that.
And it's
Really?
definitely not King of the Hill.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say.
No, because it's very anime-inspired.
More
which is,
pointy beards.
it's very different from the usual Western types of animation, where
Yeah.
it's very Disneyfied. As he was working on Avatar, the lead up to Revenge of the Sith was happening. Filoni was always supportive of the prequels and often gave his friends, like Chris, I don't know who this Chris is, the person who put together the opening title sequence of Avatar, advice on how to view the films in order for the viewing experience to make sense.
Blindfolded.
No.
And in another room.
So how the films are...
The volume off.
So
Dead.
the way that Dave Filoni believes you should view the films is about how the Jedi have gone far astray about how they used to be, and
Yeah.
like how they're like they used to be like spiritual and monk-like, but now they're very dogmatic and very strict adherence to the code and
Yeah,
very
but, like-
tied to the Republic.
Yeah, but
and
that is what the
politics.
films are about. It's just that
Exactly.
they're all so bad.
Yeah, but a lot of the people when they go into it, they don't want to expect that or
No,
focus
there's good
on that.
stuff in there, and I get like the underlying kind of Greek tragedy to the entire thing.
Except they're not Greek.
It's just that it's executed very clumsily.
And just like how the fact that the Jedi, they're peacekeepers, but yet they're part of a war, and just so many things about how much the Jedi have failed as an
but Ben,
organization.
Yeah, no, the whole point of like the Star Wars kind of like mega arc is basically that the Jedi are just shit.
Yep.
Like it's a bad system. It's an archaic, destructive system that is constantly self-congratulatory, and it should just be done away with.
Even
And
Luke tried to start the Jedi
Luke
again.
is absolutely right when he isolates
Jedi
himself
should
on that
end.
planet. It absolutely should. He should just tear it all down. Just defeat the Empire and everything, but just do it with like guns and stuff. Like just forget the whole Jedi thing. The whole thing, we tried it, it didn't work. Just leave it.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, back to his friend Chris. So his friend Chris, who did the opening animation for Avatar: The Last Airbender, he got a call from Lucasfilm saying that they're hiring for a new Star Wars show, and if Chris would recommend hiring anyone to be the showrunner. And he personally recommended Dave Filoni because of how much he loved Star Wars and how much he understood everything that was going for it, especially the prequels, which at the time were not that well liked. So a week later, Filoni got a call. Initially, he was very skeptical. There had already been a 2D Clone Wars series, and he didn't want to work with CG because, he was very used to 2D animation. And initially, he thought it was a prank from the people down at SpongeBob. Because, Avatar and SpongeBob, both Nickelodeon shows. So it was like, oh, those SpongeBob guys, pranking me with an animation job at Lucasfilm. And he
I wish I
almost...
could be pranked with a job offer.
I wish that ever happened to me.
The receptionist or whatever who was calling him did convince him that it was real. And I was like, well, shit. I better start taking this seriously, shouldn't I? But yeah, so he then had an interview with George Lucas. And the entire time when he was heading to that interview, he was like, okay, I'm not going to get this job. And I'm just going to meet George Lucas, kind of fanboy about his films, and then be done with it and have a cool story to tell my friends. Because, no one would probably ever expect to direct anything Star Wars. When Filoni met with Lucas, George Lucas quickly flipped through his folio, and then they had a 15-minute discussion on the Jedi.
It gave me anxiety. Just hearing that.
Oh.
An interview situation when you flick through a folio. That just... that hurt.
Yeah, but yeah.
If you've ever been in that situation.
And especially a quick flip through it as well.
Oh, because you pour your heart and soul into it, they barely give it a second look.
Anyway, they had a 15-minute discussion on the Jedi and what they were and how they were in the prequels, which confirmed everything Filoni had been saying to his friends. After that, fully not expecting to ever meet George Lucas ever again, they shook hands and left. And about a minute later, as he was walking to the car, he got the call from George Lucas saying he got the job.
I probably should have told you when you were in the office, but...
Yeah, you got the job, by the way.
yeah.
But yeah,
Just picture him like opening a window while he's walking to his car. Just, hey!
You got the job!
What? I said!
You got the job!
The person next to him's like, are you talking to me?
No!
Him!
I don't ever imagine George Lucas saying anything loudly.
Oh no, he'd just look out the window and go, you got the job. What? You got the job. What?
That went for about 2 hours.
Until Dave Filoni
it'd be like,
finally walked up to the window.
no, it'll be like nightfall, comes back up. It's like, I said, the premiere is in 5 minutes.
Okay, but yeah, Filoni was not prepared for this at all. Like, this was a huge undertaking and couldn't believe that he was chosen out of everyone in the world. So, eventually he had to move down to where Lucasfilm was because it was on a few hours plane ride. I don't know. I don't know America geography. California and somewhere else.
I don't think anything's more than like 6 hours away by plane in America.
Yeah, that seems right. Anyway, so we moved to a different state to work on this job, and yeah, that was fun. So working with George Lucas fundamentally changed how we told Star Wars stories. Lucas was very particular about the stories, and it took a few weeks to months to learn how Lucas told his stories, and then eventually Dave Filoni got the gist of it, and then went with how he changed how he told his stories with the mentorship from George Lucas.
Can I interrupt?
No!
Oh.
Go ahead.
Do you think the Clone Wars works well narrative-wise because it has that executive tick by George Lucas as opposed to the new...
But the prequels did.
Yeah, but I like the prequels.
Okay, but the thing is also...
Yeah, but people like the Clone Wars series.
I think the concept of the prequels is great. It's just because George Lucas himself directed it instead of just overseeing it.
I don't think he's the best director, but his
No.
concepts are really good.
Yeah, and that's why I think the Clone Wars is really good.
He needs like an editor that's kind of reining him back.
Exactly. Where the prequels, because it was an independent
he was operating on
production,
just like so much goodwill from
Exactly.
the previous trilogy that he was just kind of was given free rein to do whatever. And it turns out that sometimes uninhibited artist visions are not that cohesive. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how Dave Filoni started to work on the Clone Wars. And he and George Lucas both came up with the idea of Anakin having a Padawan, and then they eventually created Ahsoka Tano.
Who is basically the main focus
It really
of
seems
this
like
arc.
something he would have mentioned in Revenge of the Sith.
I know, but again, this was kind of like after Revenge of the Sith happened.
Yeah.
That's when they
Just like
really
between
started working on the show.
Yeah, just like I feel like the opening shot of Revenge of the Sith should just be Anakin is like, God damn, we've had a busy couple of years. Remember when I had that Padawan that was a fugitive? Jesus Christ!
Well, this is like Obi-Wan and Mustafar all over again. So I'm going to talk about the summary of the episodes, then just a bit of information about those episodes.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to do this in a Clone Wars voice. Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano have been called in to investigate a mysterious bombing at the Jedi Temple.
I just as you were saying that, I love how they open with like adventure serial narration. That's really
I do
clever.
too.
Really clever.
Just when they think all has been revealed, Ahsoka is framed for the murder of innocents and is forced to flee and become a fugitive in order to clear her name. In the underbelly of Coruscant, Ahsoka finds an unlikely ally with the assassin-turned-bounty hunter Asajj Ventress to reveal the bomber. And with the Republic forces and even the Jedi against her, she has no choice but to do this team-up. Ahsoka is then seemingly betrayed by Ventress and is taken captive by the Republic. Under threat of death, Anakin quickly finds the real bomber, Ahsoka's friend and fellow Jedi, Barriss Offee. With her name now cleared, and with the Jedi welcoming her back, Ahsoka decides that she'll no longer be a Jedi, leaving behind her master and friend, Anakin Skywalker.
Because the Jedi are total tools.
Yay! So, all 4 episodes of the arc, which were Sabotage, The Jedi Who Knew Too Much, To Catch a Jedi, and The Wrong Jedi, they were all named after Hitchcock films, being Sabotage, The Man Who Knew Too Much, To Catch a Thief, and The Wrong Man.
That's really clever. I like that. Was this inspired by a Hitchcockian
Well, it's
kind of film.
Well, it's like a frame murder mystery.
it is a frame murder
yeah,
mystery.
Yeah, so
the themes
speaking
are
about
similar.
that, as this arc was inspired by like a police procedural, which was very prominent in the first episode.
Yep.
They hired Charles Murray to help write and oversee the arc. He is known for writing episodes of Criminal Minds, Castle, Sons of Anarchy, and Luke Cage.
Ah,
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense though, considering like the mystery in the first episode was enticing. Like that was great. I watched just that first episode and immediately messaged you saying this is the best arc you've sent so far. It was one episode.
This arc had a lot of exploration of Coruscant, which is the big city planet that you see in the prequels and where this episode arc takes place.
It looks like Blade Runner, and I love it.
So George Lucas loved the idea of exploring all the levels in this massive city planet. They planned this setting so carefully that they also worked with LucasArts when they were still making the now cancelled 1313 game about Boba Fett in the underbelly of Coruscant.
Really shame they never did that. I quite like the Bounty Hunter game they made ages ago. It sucked, but it was fun.
Apparently people still like it.
People do like it. It's been remastered for PS4.
Yes, it has. The composer Kevin Kiner, did the composing for all of the Clone Wars, so he used a full orchestra to record these episodes compared to just a normal small band / simulated sounds. And in fact, he flew all the way to Prague on his own money to record with the Prague Symphonic Orchestra. Dave Filoni considers this arc to be the most Star Wars-y the show has ever been.
Really?
Yes.
This particular arc, the most Star
I
Wars.
wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say, it's better than most Star Wars-y stuff.
Like it's good, but it's.
I'll
not,
explain
I
it.
wouldn't call it.
I'll explain it a bit later.
I wouldn't call it quintessentially Star Wars.
Well, because it's
No.
about a Jedi being on the run and then people trying to chase her, which is very similar to, say, the original Star Wars films, where it's like, oh, there's a ragtag group of
yeah, but
rebels
the
with
original
a
Star Wars
Jedi
was
in it,
more,
with them being
the tone
on the
is
run.
different.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's what he says. Also, one final fun fact before we get into the discussion. Tim Curry, famed actor of Pennywise and the person from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, did the voice of Palpatine.
Oh my goodness!
Did he?
Yes. So, for the other seasons,
I didn't even notice.
they had another voice actor, but he had died. So they brought in Tim Curry.
Why did they get Ian? What's his name?
Ian McDermott?
Yeah.
I think because he was doing other stuff or he didn't want to.
Doesn't he like love that role though?
Yeah, well, he didn't. Okay.
Like Harrison Ford, who like hates it so much that they made them kill him.
Okay, so let's go opening thoughts with Michael. You
Oh.
watched it most recently, so.
I watched half of it this morning. Oh, that was alright. I didn't mind it.
Okay. Stefan,
No,
what?
no. It
Okay.
was good because I like crime conspiracies and mystery films, and I really like the movie The Fugitive. And it's just that in kind of a sci-fi science fantasy universe. I like how kind of it's paced nicely. I like how the first episode is kind of the build up to there's the inciting incident, and then kind of building up the mystery about who did it, and like like you were saying, like the basically like the procedural investigation that goes forward, and then the second episode is like the false accusation, and the third episode is like when she's on the run, and then the fourth one is like the trial and resolution. I thought it was really good. It was paced nicely. It was like a little movie. You didn't have to have much context for the rest of the. I don't say much. You kind of need to understand everything, but only to a certain extent.
Yeah. As long as you know who. Like, you've watched
If you understand
the
like
prequels and you know who Ahsoka is.
Yeah. If you got a basic understanding of the Star Wars and how like the Jedi Order kind of operates, then like I follow. This is one of the few I followed just fine.
Very good.
Enjoyed it. I like that all like those little criminal conspiracy thrillers, and I liked this interpretation of it.
Stefan.
I agree with Michael. I really liked how intense a lot of this arc seemed. Like, a lot of the other arcs you showed had some really serious issues, but this felt like there were such big stakes, even though it was quite a personal story. It's just about one person trying to resolve their innocence in this case, this bombing case.
Yeah, but
And yet the stakes felt so grand.
Can I tell you why that is? It's because basically a lot of the characters in the Clone Wars, they are in Revenge of the Sith. You know they're going to make it out alive. However, Ahsoka, introduced for the show specifically, no one knows what would have happened to her.
Yeah.
And how she would have been written out. So that's why
People were thinking she could have died from this.
Exactly. So that's why the stakes feel so high, because a lot of the people watching the show, not YouTube specifically, because you didn't grow
Because
up
it's already
watching the show,
happening, yeah.
but like you like they would have grown up with Ahsoka throughout these 5 seasons.
And thought that this was going to be her end. And
Exactly.
this would be where Anakin's dark side would take over. And how they the writing...
I'd say it was more when he killed those kids.
Well, yeah, that was definitely one of the turning points. No, he was far gone from the edge there. But I love the writing. As I said, the first one, and as Michael said, is written like just a really well done mystery. And in terms of animation, it's your favourite sequence. The chasing where the clones and Anakin are trying to chase Ahsoka in the rain.
From the jail?
Yeah, from the jail in the rain. It's just phenomenal. It's like every good thing ever condensed into one action scene.
Yeah.
Like you got the rain pouring, you got the lightsabers deflecting all the bullets and shimmering through the rain, and everything just looks incredible. She does all these flips everywhere. It's like it's insane, and it's amazing how that scene goes for like half the episode.
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it just feels like one moment, like just one moment that you could keep watching it because it's just so amazing. But the rest of the arc has some really strong character moments from all people involved. Like this is the first time I saw
Asajj Ventress.
her. I think she was conveyed very well. I got her character pretty much from the get-go without even really understanding her. And I thought it really established all of its pieces wonderfully. So this was definitely my favourite of the 3 that you've showed us.
Yeah. Is this your favourite of the 3 or not?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
There's something about like being on the run that's such like a primal
Yes.
fear.
Also,
Yeah.
before we ask you what you thought, I was frustrated for Ahsoka this entire time, and I was actually watching this with my dad, and I kept yelling at him, saying she hasn't done anything wrong. she's gonna die for doing nothing. And yeah, makes you.
What did your probably like indifferent dad say?
He didn't say anything. Anyhow, really great, loved it. Ahsoka's amazing. Anakin's pretty cool. Barriss is a jerk at times, but good at other times. She's a bit misunderstood. What did you think of it, Ben?
Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to address this right now. When we did the Umbara arc, I was like, yeah, that's my favourite arc. Yeah, no, not anymore. This is. Because Ahsoka Tano is my favourite Star Wars character of all time. Sorry, every other character, but Ahsoka
Including
is it.
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, definitely better than Saw Gerrera, that piece of shit. This arc is really great. The first time I watched all of the Clone Wars series was on a very small iPhone 4 with a cracked screen. And even then, I could... even then, when I was watching
The way it was meant to be watched.
I could tell how cinematic and great this arc was. And the storytelling is so compelling to watch. You're always on the edge of your seat. You don't know what's going to happen. You're really... Like, with Ahsoka's story, you're really dedicated with that. But also with how Anakin is slowly losing it. And how, like, all this is affecting him. And how that affects how you see him in Revenge of the Sith is really great. And also, what I was going to mention... also, the Jedi and the military aspects of it I found really interesting as well. Because you see the Jedi... As I mentioned before, how strict they are, how much they rely on the Republic and the military themselves, and how the military has grown. Instead of just being run by clones, you have Tarkin, who makes a comeback in this. Good old...
He does.
Yeah,
He's
good
young.
old Tarkin.
He's got brown hair.
Yep.
He is such a jerk.
How many years is this before
So
New
the
Hope?
whole-
Is it like 20?
15, 19. Well,
'cause
A
Luke,
New
yeah.
Hope. Luke.
Anyway, so...
Is this like a year before Revenge of the Sith?
No,
though?
this is probably about 6 months.
2
before Revenge of the
years.
Sith. No, this arc specifically is about
Oh,
2 years
okay.
before
Yep.
Revenge of the... 6 months
6
before
months,
Revenge
yep.
So it's about 20 years.
Yeah, about 20
about 20
years.
years. Yes, and I just really love how the military has grown and how, like, that big jail that they have is so intimidating and so imperialistic. Like, I really love the progression of, like, that, how it goes from Republic stuff to the Empire.
Yeah,
And just
because
that- like
it's
that
a
facility
I
itself.
noticed
gradual
that too.
change.
Yeah.
It's really, really well done.
It's nice to see just like kind of the rumblings of A New Hope as well. Like I know that's
Yeah.
kind of like in the prequels as well, but like you can, like for me that doesn't like remember much about the other like the broader Star Wars canon. I like seeing just kind of like you can see like the origins of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like eventually what becomes iconography later on.
And it's not just told outright, like, oh, this is a great, really great jail. We're going to use it for the upcoming Empire.
They didn't even say that was Tarkin.
Exactly.
Like, he
They just mentioned...
This is the guy.
They were just talking to him, and someone says, oh, I don't like that guy. Yeah, Tarkin's a jerk.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tarkin, I think he's written really well because he doesn't really care about the outcome. All he wants is control and power in this. And that's why he doesn't care about, Ahsoka, maybe she is telling the truth. No, I'm just going to put my foot down and stick to this because I want control and power and I want to get all that glory from it.
He looked more realistic than the Rogue One version.
You know what? A lot of people actually do say that.
Is that a joke? Yeah, I didn't think it would be original.
But no, and also, the voice actor for Tarkin in this, Andrew Stanton, he did do the voice for Tarkin in Rogue One.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual story of it. Actually, I want to talk about something we haven't really touched on, but the painterly style that this series has.
It doesn't really have painterly though.
It does. No,
It does.
I get
Because
what he
you can,
means.
I think you can actually see all the brushstrokes in the skin textures. Yeah.
They have 2D textures on their 3D models.
And I really like the painterly style. I think it really
all
especially
textures are 2D, aren't they?
especially since it is based.
Let's do bump mapping.
Bump
Yeah.
mapping's a 3D texture.
But especially since it is based on the puppets that you so dearly love from Thunderbirds, Michael. Because it's very different to what you're seeing. So last week we talked about Klaus and how it had some of that grain to it, and that texture was really unique. And with the painted style, it's different from other types of painted styles you see. It's because usually the paint style is usually reserved for a 2D medium, whereas this is 3D, and you don't really see that.
Yeah.
And
No, because most shows go for a more streamlined 3D look or a realistic 3D. Whereas this feels stylized, but in the way that it's trying to be like a 2D illustration.
So what do you guys like about the story / animation?
Okay, what I liked about this arc and what made it seem a lot more what do you call it? Contained is that the first thing you see is not actually part of the story.
No.
The story. It's about Ahsoka and Anakin are like a war.
It's a whole
as they usually
Simpsons
do.
technique. It starts off with a C story.
But it's basically Ahsoka saves Anakin from his ship, and it really shows Ahsoka's values and who she is as this heroic character before showing the council doubting her in the later episodes. And that scene was important for me as well because it mainly showed that Anakin and Ahsoka have this trust, and although they bicker, although they tease each other, they would not think the other would put them in any danger whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I feel like if you're a screenwriter, if you're a budding screenwriter, I think that's a really easy thing to miss.
Yes,
To do something like that that kind of reestablishes a character. Because I think it would be too easy to say well, it's a series. We already have a good idea of what she's like. But I think it's important that it goes there and kind of rounds off the story nicely like that.
And it's also a really great adventure to just drop straight into as well.
Yeah.
Just because it is really fun to watch and it's great
we've
introduction
got
to it.
little buzz droids on Anakin's ship, and he's like, "Oh, I can totally do this." It's like, "Oh no, I can't. Ahsoka, help me!"
And then when you get into bloody Revenge of the Sith, when that happens, it's like, "Oh, here we go again."
And he even says that.
Exactly.
Where the fun begins.
Oh, but yeah, I think doing that opening set piece is really great. What did you think about how all the citizens... Well, there was a protest against the Jedi Temple and against the war.
Story-wise, that seems like a very normal thing to do. Because, really...
Yeah, but what do you think about it from the Star Wars perspective? Because I don't think we've ever seen anything like that
I
before.
don't think we've ever seen normal people in Star Wars. Star Wars normal movies feel like a theatre in which there's 5 characters on screen and that's it. There's barely any other normal people besides kids who get killed in the Jedi Temple. Here you see normal people protesting, and that was an interesting thing to do. But
And
I don't remember, what did they have to protest? Did they have signs?
Yes, they did. Oh, what did you think of how so very reminiscent of Iron Man 3, but this arc came out before Iron Man 3. The detective hologram technology where they were trying to find out where the bomb came from.
That was cool. I did like that.
So like Arkham Knighty.
Yeah.
Or Batman Arkham series.
Again, that was in the first episode. That whole thing felt like a little detective drama.
Yeah.
And those parts really did hark on that.
I like it because I think
visual
about...
sense.
It's like, yeah, if we did a police procedural in a sci-fi universe, what would that look like? And it looks like what it looks like in the show.
Yeah. But I thought that was really great. And I watched this after... No, I would have watched this before Iron Man 3. And to me, those are very similar.
Can I ask,
Especially with the blue glows and everything.
Michael, you said there was a shot that was exactly like The Fugitive.
Oh.
What shot was it?
So that was in the second episode.
It's when Anakin has her cornered, or not cornered, but where they're in like that. What is it?
Pipe.
A water-
Sewage
water-
Yeah,
network.
they're in that sewage
Waterways.
pipe, and it's just that whole exchange is straight from The Fugitive.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is.
It's parodied in that episode of The Simpsons. Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah,
when?
that episode.
Oh, when Milhouse
Yeah,
is
when
there.
Milhouse at the edge of the dam and Tommy Lee Jones is there. It's like, I told you I didn't do anything. I don't care. Milhouse has to jump. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's from The Fugitive. Where,
Okay.
Tommy Lee Jones has Harrison Ford, who's been wrongly convicted of murdering his wife.
Well, in
The Clone Wars?
in this, that scene is wonderful. I
Yes.
really like that
A lot of
scene.
people think that is the best voice acting in the entire show.
She falls too far.
Okay, but the
Should have
Jedi...
jumped earlier when the ship was closer to the pipe.
I do agree. But the Jedi, because they have the Force,
Yeah,
they
they
can
have force
survive
jumps.
everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, that...
Oh yeah, everyone's like ridiculous
Yeah.
in that.
But yeah, that exchange is really good, I will say. And the only thing is, some of the facial animation was just a little bit off, I think.
It was so well written, I didn't even notice. I was paying attention to the story. But I think the facial animation has definitely progressed a lot more since season 1 in terms of what it can convey.
In rewatching the season 1 movie, the movie that came out.
Oh, the
earlier
movie
this
was
year,
terrible.
It is. How did that get a cinema release? You know, it's just so bad.
It's apparently better than Klaus.
Is the Clone Wars that bad?
Look, I kind of like the story, but a lot of the animation is very outdated, and yeah, it's
Especially for like a theatrical release.
yes, for a theatrical release, it shouldn't have been. It should have just been a movie on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I wish they had Han Solo cornered in the pipe instead. I didn't kill my wife.
I really liked how, like, when Ahsoka was on the run and Anakin was trying to find her, it was, like, it's pointed out as well, but it's very reminiscent of, like, Darth Vader with a bunch of stormtroopers trying to find a rebel person.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, like, it's very reminiscent of that, and I really like
It's
that.
not explicitly stated. It's just
No.
like it's just
just a
there's
parallel.
like visual cues.
Yeah.
When you like you get a sense of what this like that was always in him. That kind of quite dark and sordid.
He feels
leadership
very
quality.
Vader in this arc, especially with
does.
how he deals with Ventress. Like, where did that come from? He was like so dark. He was almost the villain in that exchange. Like Ventress is like almost vulnerable. She doesn't have her lightsabers, and he's just what? Where? What? Who
He's
was the
what-
person?
Yeah.
It's like, gee, Anakin, chill out.
So, let's talk about one of... I'm going to call her a side villain, a secondary villain. Let's talk about Barriss Offee. When did you think it was her who was the villain? Did you guess it before it was revealed?
Not really.
Okay. And I know Stefan
That makes me
did.
sound dumb.
No,
but-
it's not. Because
Not
when I
really.
first watched it, I don't think I did.
No.
Because throughout the seasons, she was Ahsoka's friend, so it completely threw me off guard.
I thought it would be the bounty hunter lady.
So,
No,
Stefan.
very
Or maybe it was Obi-Wan.
midpoint of the second episode. I really like this. It was a subtle thing, but like Ahsoka says something like, no, she says something about Jedi having trust in each other, and it must have been hard to lose someone so close to you.
Yeah, because I think one of Barriss
Barriss'
Offee's friends died.
Yeah.
Jedi friends died in the bombing.
And I remember Barriss looked to the side and her eyes looked away from Ahsoka. And it was in a way, because Ahsoka was referring to herself or something like that. It was in a way that it made it seem as if Barriss knew something that she didn't know. And from there I thought, okay, she's got something to do with this. And then in the next episode, when she was the only other character in the thing, I thought, yeah, she's the one who did it. It's not going to be a Asajj Ventress.
Asajj Ventress.
I'm not going to say her name right, but
Massage Ventress.
it can't be her because, well, she was fooled as well, so it had to have been her. Also, is there a reason? I think Michael mentioned this before, but everyone's designs have updated, obviously, as the series went on.
Yes.
Palpatine looks so blocky compared to everyone. Like he's like mega.
Yeah,
blocks.
he's not as bad as Count Dooku, but he is still very much that style. Which I
He looks like an upside-down pine cone.
wait, who?
Palpatine.
But you know,
His
I
forehead's
like
like a
this design
cinder block.
because you can still immediately tell it is Palpatine.
I mean, he's got the Palpatine voice. His gown looks
It
so
must be
terrible.
really insulting for like people to go up to these actors, just like, this looks exactly like you. And then just, Jesus Christ. It's like a
I don't think
melted
it's
wax.
exactly
It's like a
like-
melted wax dummy.
It's not exactly like him, but it is like you can definitely tell with that character profile.
Just like
that
to
it is
clarify, it's like this. This is what you bought my likeness for.
there. Okay, so we already touched on this action sequence, but I want to touch on it now. But when Ahsoka escapes, I think it is my favorite sequence in all of Star Wars when Ahsoka escapes from the jail. Just because it is really tense, the music is really good, like the pacing is like really well done, and especially spending so much time with these characters, you can like you don't know where these things are gonna go.
Yeah.
And like the suspense and everything just put together just made that sequence superb.
Yeah, like I can't add anything to that.
And,
It was just,
like-
it's a really great scene to watch.
And
Even
it-
isolated, it's just
Yeah.
a fun chase.
And Ahsoka's agility in it as well is super fun to watch with all the animation with that.
I noticed that. I think Ahsoka is way better Jedi than Anakin is. Like, she does all these flips and whatnot, and Anakin just
I
goes,
noticed
"Ah!"
that. I noticed that when Anakin just started murdering people willy nilly.
But no, I think because
Like,
Like, in
that's
the-
probably not a good sign.
in the first episode we established Ahsoka's agility when she's chasing after the person who they thought did the bombing.
Yeah.
When she was like running on the poles and stuff. And I think like having that agility is really fun to watch from an animation perspective
Yeah.
because like she does all these crazy flips and all that, and like it's not done in a way where you don't believe it. It's very believable
Yeah,
in the way
definitely.
they do it. And it's like very quick and snappy as well. And yeah, I think that is really great. And it's like seeing her escape from all these people who she's trusted and all that is one of the best sequences in all of Star
I'm
Wars.
kind of glad all the Jedi died in Revenge of the Sith. They're really dumb in this, but one thing...
Me too. I'm glad the whole thing came down.
One thing story-wise I can critique, because I really didn't like it, and it again evolves around the Jedi being idiots, is that most of the evidence against Ahsoka is,
Circumstantial.
she was next to a body. She killed them. It's like, no.
So,
How does that make... She was found next to a bomb. It's her bombs.
Do you want to talk about the military and the Jedi then? Just because they're very important parts of the story.
Sure, military's Tarkin driven, right?
Yes.
Is he like
He's
the
meant to be the
commander
impor-
of them all?
I
Or
wouldn't say
do-
of them all, but he is like a top tier person.
Does
in
he
the military?
answer to Palpy?
Palpy.
Yes.
Okay, so at this stage, does he know that Palpatine is the Sith?
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
so he's just a jerk because he's a jerk.
Yeah, he just wants to get power.
Like, he's a loser. Anyhow, go on.
Anyway, so it has been said like quite a few times that in this arc, it is the Jedi and the military who are the true antagonists because of how they react to someone in the Jedi Order maybe.
Oh,
That's why the
100%.
end made me upset. Like, you almost killed me, then you have, like, the goal
To welcome her back.
welcome me
Exactly.
back. And trying to, like, blame it on the Force.
I love
just
how
like,
they said it was a good thing. It was
Yeah,
like,
it's just
oh,
like, you are
this is
stronger for this, and the Force works in mysterious way. No, you guys are dickheads.
You're trying to kill me.
Yeah, they're just covering up for
you
the.
idiots. This was barely an apology. They're just like, the bloody Force did this.
Yeah, the fact that they're trying to cover up their own inadequacies is really, really just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, just get.
But also, it also it was a good moment that separated Anakin from the rest of the Order. And I also liked how, I said it before, when Anakin went after Ahsoka, all the other Jedi stood back like a bunch of, like, wood.
Because
Obi-Wan tried to go after Anakin, but the other Jedi stopped him.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good indication that Obi-Wan probably has this emotional connection that he would have been able to help Anakin, but the rules of the Order prevented him from being able to do that. And it's little things like that, little actions that this show does that not necessary at all, but you can read into a lot of these things.
Also, there's a lot of really great secondary actions in this show. Like, in animation, when someone does a movement, there's always secondary action. So someone, like, waves their arm, maybe you can see their jacket moving a little bit.
At, like, a different timing.
Yeah.
Or
So this has
something
a
like
lot of great secondary action, especially with, like, ears and, like, Yoda's ears. Whenever he moves his head, there's always a slight movement or, like, a slight twitch. And then Ahsoka's head tails as well.
I like Yoda's Mr. Burns hair.
There's something I do want to talk about that I can't believe I didn't remember till this point.
Yeah.
The combat fight scene with fists between Ahsoka and Ventress versus the clone troopers.
Yes.
The choreography was amazing.
So I showed Stefan this a few months ago.
Earlier,
actually.
and I was not expecting it to be part of this arc, but it was so good.
Were you thinking of the Bechdel test when you were watching it?
Nope.
What?
The Bechdel test is
Yeah,
like that.
I know.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Yeah, it's so the Bechdel test. It's not like any official test. It's just an
No,
interesting.
it's
thing
not
to see.
indicative of the quality
Yeah.
of a work.
But
I
it's
just
just
think
like
it's interesting.
seeing if there's like 3 rules to it. I think is there are 2 women together in a scene. They talk. They have a conversation with each other, and they
The
have
conversation can't be about a man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, it
this
does.
passes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
Again,
above-
it's not like indicative of the quality
Yeah,
of a
exactly.
work. Like,
But
I think
it's
one
just-
of the most famous
It's
examples.
an interesting experiment. Really.
Yeah, the most famous examples of a failure is The Godfather, which has like almost like this K. That's it.
Yeah.
on that though,
But
Like-
no, I like that.
on that before talking about how the female characters are represented, Padme is so good in this. Why is she not like this in number 3?
There's actually-
Natalie Portman didn't voice her,
No,
did she?
no.
Okay.
It's very similar, isn't it?
It sounded like
Yeah,
it
but
sounded like her.
yeah, there's an arc previously where there's a very politic-heavy arc around Padme and where she has to like deliver a speech, and I honestly think that is a great arc. And even though it's a kid show and it does focus on politics in this, it is really well done, and it's something that the prequels could have done better. The politics
yeah,
stuff.
so she's like this really great politician who can really stand on trial against everyone to defend someone and has this strong thing. And then in Revenge of the Sith, it's just, Anakin, you're tearing me apart. That's it. That's the extent of her character.
Did you still want to talk about that fight sequence we didn't get to?
Oh, we didn't get to that. I just loved it. It was so great. And I think you mentioned this when you first showed it to me. There's a lot of it that's one shot.
Exactly. There's the last 20 to 30 seconds is a one shot, which is incredible because there's so much action with it all. And like it pans from Ahsoka to Ventress to Ahsoka to Ventress and so on. And it's like you just see like how they're decimating the clones, and then like one clone flies this way and then it pans with that to Ventress, and then she continues the
And
fighting.
again, animating lots of different characters doing lots of different things is difficult to do. We saw in, it's not spoilers at this stage, Last Jedi, you got like 5 of the red guys attacking Kylo and Rey. That looked amazing. 5. This had like, 15 troopers there? And each one had a different action and movement. And these are animated people. Like, that's a big effort to do. Like, I just thought how every fist flew everywhere. It was just, it looked like a dance. It was incredible.
What do you think of the fight sequence between Ahsoka and Masked Barriss?
Yeah, it was alright. It was good.
I thought it was good too. What about when Anakin finds out it was Barriss and then he goes to interrogate her? What do you guys think of that?
Anakin has no subtlety in his body. Like, he is
No,
the
he doesn't.
bluntest.
Well, you can't. Obviously, in the bloody movies, he doesn't have
I
any
think it would've
subtlety
been-
That's a bit that
either.
reminded me of a police procedural the most, just like in the locked room. I just wanted to like sit her down and put like the light in her face.
I think it would have been better. It would have been more subtle if he walked in and said, "Hey, Barriss, I heard you bombed the Jedi Temple. Let's talk about that."
They're gonna get Obi-Wan to come in. Hello there.
But yeah,
Now I've heard a silly rumor going around that you're the one that bombed the Jedi Temple, but that can't be true.
Because you're my friend, and as you know, I like discussing.
Would you like
these
to
important things with
rub
people.
my beard?
my very wooden beard.
My very pointy wooden beard.
Not Bolsawood, I swear.
Come on, seriously, did you do it?
You gotta give me something. I came here.
I like the idea that he just starts like all like suave and sexy, and then he just gets like sweaty and desperate in like the space of a minute. Just come on, just
admit to it already.
fine. I'll admit to it. You don't have to do anything. I did it. He just burst out of there. I did it. Just let her go. Oh my god, I can't handle the pressure. So did I do pretty good in there?
Anyway, I really liked that entire, not interrogation, how Anakin
Confrontation?
confronts Barriss,
Yeah.
and then the ensuing fight that happens.
I'm amazed that in that fight scene where all the kids, all the Jedi kids and everyone sees Anakin and Barriss, they immediately assume Barriss is evil. Why? I thought there would
He
have been...
looks evil.
No, but Anakin looks evil as.
Oh, he's got that scar over his eye.
Yeah.
I think, is it because she had red lightsabers that they
Yes.
just assume, oh, she's the
Obviously,
bad
if someone
guy.
has red lightsabers, they're evil.
I mean,
that's
that-
like the one staple of Star Wars that will always stay true.
Yeah. I think they should notice. They should have noticed by now. They should get like happy, like maybe like a yellow one with like a smiley
Well,
face.
the Jedi guards did have yellow ones.
There you go.
Did you like that, Stefan? Yellow lightsabers.
Do like yellow
Lightsabers need hilts. It's insane that they don't. Have I ranted about this before?
They do have hilts. What are you talking about?
No, not a grip, like a hilt.
Oh,
to prevent
Kylo
you-
Ren. There you go.
Yeah, no, because that makes sense. Because the whole point of a hilt is that if you strike a blade and this blade comes down, it protects your fingers.
Yes.
But they don't. Lightsabers don't have one.
Well, the premise is because
do they
the
like
Jedi.
lock in place when they touch or something?
Yes, they do.
Oh, do they? So that's why
Mostly,
they don't.
yeah.
Well, they
Oh.
don't go through, otherwise they just.
All right, so I'm
slice each
going
other
to
up.
contradict my whole argument. Why does Kylo Ren have a hilt then?
Well, in case of someone like strikes like that and then gets his arm.
Oh, they should all have hilts.
Yeah, I know.
They should have like circular hilts to go around like the entire thing.
How'd that work though?
Just one, like lots of little spokes.
Okay.
They should just have a gun.
But I know in Star Wars Rebels, Ezra, when he makes his lightsaber, it has a gun built into it. So that he can shoot people as he fights them. Which I think is
That
great.
was cool.
Very clever.
Yes. But no one's ever done that.
See, that's a
Again.
weapon from a more civilized time.
So what do you think of Barriss, like, and her reasonings for the bombing? Obviously, the bombing was a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, but the Jedi are bad.
Exactly. And the fact that Barriss does point it out. But no one's, like, Obi-Wan, when, like, he's listening, you can see his face turn as if, like, he's hearing a harsh truth.
Yeah, I like that.
And just,
yeah.
like, subtle things like that. I thought was really great. And I thought her reasoning is very true.
Yeah, I liked her plan. So
That's the reason he kind of does away with the whole thing after Revenge of the Sith, like partially.
Yeah.
Like it's mostly his failure to train Anakin, but also just because like the entire thing is just too much trouble.
No, I think her plan was great. I love where she thought.
The plan
so I
wasn't
thought the
great.
only way to prove my case was to accuse my best friend and get her killed.
Well, the thing is,
Because
a lot of people in the series, a lot of people point out Ahsoka is a lot like Anakin, but Anakin isn't the best Jedi, seeming as he's very unstable and gets emotional.
killing orphans kind of does that.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. That sort of stuff.
And killing women, children, sand, all that stuff.
Okay, let's talk about the very final scene, which is where Ahsoka is invited back to the Jedi Order, but she refuses.
Oh, I
You've talked about
That's
it
a smart
bit
thing to
already.
do.
Yeah, obviously.
Fuck him.
The Jedi have been really bad. Like, they're so bureaucratical right now. And, like, they said, the military says we don't have to expel Ahsoka. But you know what? Let's do it anyway.
Of course you don't have to. She was wrongly accused, you idiots.
But then they do, and that's... Then
But
they're like...
Michael, she was found next to bombs.
What a stupid things like, we wrongly accused, we almost hunted her down and killed her on multiple occasions. Well, you don't
Actually-
have to. You don't have to
And
exile
the
her.
trial that they have that in is called the Chamber of Judgment.
Oh,
I think
I
that
was
is
gonna say
such a
too.
stupid name.
Like how intimidating their like that chamber
Yeah.
is set up.
Yeah,
like
that-
you're on like a
she's
little
down.
platform, but everyone else is like elevated, and the lighting is specifically designed to be as intimidating as possible.
What a stupid thing for a Jedi temple to have.
No,
Can you imagine just like, did you do it? Did you do it? I'm up here in my high chair. Did you do it? I'm here for a parking ticket.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the bloody
Like,
final
that would have
scene.
you admitting to things that you haven't even heard of.
Just hope Obi-Wan doesn't get in that situation.
So the final scene.
So, did you do it?
Okay, let's go back to the final scene. I think that is very impactful for the story of Ahsoka and Anakin and their partnership and how it's ending. I think just like with the music there is really great. It has some of the Force themes, some of the Luke's theme, which feeds into Anakin. And it's just very bittersweet and thoughtful. And the way that they depart is really nice as well.
And something you said is the next time you see those steps in that angle in which Ahsoka leaves is Anakin coming in with the clones to kill all the Jedi. Which is a very dark parallel.
I didn't pick up on that.
Ben told me.
Yeah.
Because Ben knows Star Wars.
Yeah, he
I
does.
do know Star Wars. A
Some
lot.
would say he's a fan, but if he was like Dave Filoni, he wouldn't consider himself a fan.
Yeah, because he doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand how fans work.
No, but what do you guys think of that final scene?
I loved it. No, I really like that ending. I thought, I like how Anakin. It feels like Anakin needs Ahsoka more than Ahsoka needs him.
Oh,
And
definitely.
it feels like she's almost staying there just because he's there.
It mirrors the whole Obi-Wan thing when, like, he feels a greater failure if she leaves because it's a failure on his part.
Yeah.
For failing to train her properly.
If anything, he saves her. She's the only one that doesn't die.
How was her arc resolved in the next? Does she live forever? in the
Okay,
next
so
season?
she comes back in Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, okay.
So that's the next time we see her. And there's
Oh,
actually...
so season 6 she's not in it?
No.
Oh, wow.
She's in the new...
Yeah, but she's in the upcoming season 7, though.
Is that still set before Revenge of the Sith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's going to take place during it as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, and the next time we see her is in Star Wars Rebels, and then she fights Darth Vader in a really great fight, which I will show you later.
Oh, because it's also Anakin. Does she know it's Anakin?
Yes.
You'll
it's
find
actually
out.
really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then she is also one of the, I think, very few or only characters to survive the prequel and the original trilogy.
Besides...
Oh,
one of the-
okay,
one of
yeah.
the Gonk
Yeah, because
droids.
it's at the end of Star Wars Rebels, it's revealed that she survives.
Oh, yeah, because a lot of characters aren't in... Well, were alive during the prequels, but aren't in the
Yeah.
prequels.
Yeah, and
Okay. So
yeah, and also this
maybe
is
she'll appear in the...
Nah.
episode 9.
Rise
They
of-
would not do that.
They
I
won't.
would love it, but
That's too
they
good
won't.
a thing to do. They've got to be slightly disappointing.
Also, it's not really got to do with the Skywalker saga.
I mean,
We're gonna
it
make a-
has to do with Anakin.
Yeah, but Anakin's probably not going to be in
He's a
this.
Skywalker.
It's the Skywalker. It's part
I
of the
know.
saga. Maybe a mention.
This is the only episode to not end. Do you know how all the episodes end in the blaring Star Wars music?
Yeah.
This one
This is
doesn't.
the only
I
one that
noticed.
doesn't, and there's also a fade
There's no
to black
circle
as
wipe.
well.
It's a fade.
Yes,
I
it's a
noticed
fade.
that. Yeah.
There's no circle wipe, no blaring
We are
music.
so mature. We have learned how to use After Effects slightly.
No, they
Don't
just
need to rely on Windows
no.
presets.
So for years, Dave Filoni had just wanted to get away from that because he didn't really like it that much. So he was like, "Okay, I'm directing
really
this final
dated,
episode, and I'm gonna make it how I want.
It's one of the-
Stuff George Lucas and what he thinks. I'm gonna do this," and that's what he did.
and the fans.
I
were
thought he
just like, "What has
respected him
done?"
too much.
Oh, he does, but George Lucas ended up liking
Well,
it too.
he doesn't consider himself a fan, Michael.
Exactly.
He can do whatever he wants.
He hates it.
He hates it.
All right. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it.
I did.
What do we? What are we don't need to say final thoughts, don't
No,
we?
we all-
pretty much went over
It's
that.
great
Well,
arc.
we liked
Good
it.
arc. Go watch it.
If you want to watch it self-enclosed, do it. It's on Disney Plus,
Yep.
which we're not sponsored by, but we are sponsored by Steamboat Willie, which is kind of Disney.
We are officially sponsored by Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, because it is out of
public domain.
Yes.
It's public domain.
So that
We're
means
making t-shirts. Yep.
That's it.
mugs. There
That's
we
why my
go.
joke stopped. You meant to butt in.
Nope.
All right. Where
what
can
are
you
we
find
doing
us,
next
Ben?
week?
Oh yeah.
Next week we are going to be doing our Christmas episode.
Oh, Christmas.
So we're
special.
going to be.
What do we watch? What's your
So
Christmas?
my
special?
Christmas episode is going to be the stop motion special of Community.
Oh, so we'll all pick a stop motion.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to be.
Oh, it's
Pick a Christmas special.
You already said what yours was going to be.
Garfield.
The
isn't
Garfield
it?
Christmas special.
Yeah.
What's yours, Stefan?
Mine's going to be the Invader Zim Christmas special.
Ah, okay.
All right. Perfect. And then we'll take like a break till like early Jan,
Or
I presume.
yeah, we'll take a few weeks
I
break
can't
after
do
that.
between Boxing Day.
Yeah, that's
and-
fine.
Yeah, just cut that out.
Nah, keep it in. Put our credit card details while we're here. 0118999 88199
You have to cut this out.
9119 725
3.
Oh yeah, where can you find us, Ben?
Okay, you can find us at animate3pod@gmail.com. You can send us recommendations. You can send us things you liked about us, things you hated about us. You can send us pictures of your cat. Please do. I love cat pictures.
Or if you're Stefan's friend and just want to send us corrective details about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Go ahead. If you think we did anything wrong, go with that. Also, make sure to share us to a friend or something. We really need more views, please. Please.
We'll animate some more.
Yeah.
That seems to be what you
And by
people watch.
we mean Stefan. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, and many other places you can listen to podcasts. And we're also, again, we are doing some animated shorts from our podcast episodes, only like 1 to 1.5 minutes long. Please check them out. Stefan does so much hard work for that. Rounds of applause for Stefan.
I ate a toaster.
That's how he does it so well. Because toaster.
That's why he does them in 2 minutes or less.
Amazing. And that is the end of the podcast, and we'll see you next week for the Christmas special. Goodbye, everyone.